to welcome everybody to this morning's talk on food labelling information and class systems. So delighted to introduce our speaker this morning, and our speaker is Masa, who's a researcher at the Nutrition Institute in Ljubljana in Slovenia, and she's part of a research program that looks at information, I suppose, on food and nutrition, and really looks at data on prepackaged foods. She is really going to talk to us today about the food composition and labelling information system, so the CLAS tool that has been developed within the organisation, and how they have used that in nutrition related studies, and how building up that data and the information about that has allowed them to do specific research. So she is a sort of a researcher there. She's also currently doing a PhD on the topic, looking at vitamin D status in the adult Slovenian population. And she's over here in collaboration with ourselves and UCD and the Food Safety Authority of Ireland, where we are developing the CLAS system for use in Ireland. And it's really, really great to have her here and to talk about her work. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Masa. As you have questions as you're going throughout, please put them into the chat. We will look at those questions at the end, and then we'll also have an opportunity for everybody to turn on, microphones and cameras at the end if they wish to have a chat with Masa. And I hope there'll be lots of questions and discussion at the end. So I'll hand over to you now, Masa, and thank you very much for coming this morning for us.
Thank you so much for a very nice introduction. I'm also very happy to be here, so thank you for inviting me. So yeah, like Eileen said, I will try to present you a little bit of what we do in the scope of monitoring the prepackaged food in Slovenia. So in Slovenia, there needs to be an online version of the label. So the last one is the last source of the information is crowdsourcing in food condition and labeling. So there are different several definitions of crowdsourcing, but actually it means outsourcing different tasks to a crowd of people to complete it. So this is kind of an innovative approach. Where a vast amount of data needs to be collected, and it can be really done easier and quicker with a larger group actually completing the task with smaller participation, with small participations. So what are the advantages? Are smaller costs, speed and flexibility, and of course that diversity. And crowdsourcing can also be very good in the terms of, because there is not such a big delay with traditional approaches. So why the continuous data collection needed? So here you can see we have, we made a study of what is the availability of food during the years. So we are making collections of the food monitoring data from 2011 on, and we can see here. So these are, we matched the products with the EAN code, and we then checked what is the retention of the EAN codes on the market. So in 2000 and the foods 2011, only 20% of them of the same EAN codes were found in 2020. So really big, I would like to point out here that a lot of products that were on in 2011 are then gone in 2020. Of course, the EAN code needs to be changed every time there is a major change in the food product, but still because of this, we really need to have a continuous data collection, because whenever you finish processing the data, you're already working with outdated data. So now a little bit on food monitoring in Slovenia. In Slovenia, we are approximately 2 million inhabitants, so we are quite a unique small environment. And this has some bonus sides because we are quite small. We have it's easier for us to make such kind of research. So we have also the 10 years of tight collaboration with all the major retailers in Slovenia. Which doesn't only enable us to do food monitoring studies, but they also regularly, at least some of them, with sales data of branded foods, which is quite a unique partnership. So not only we know what is sold in our markets, but actually we also know how much is sold. And this data, this sales data is usually purchased from specialized agencies, but they are quite expensive and they are very rarely used in public health. So we are very happy that we have such a good collaboration with our retailers. So what are we doing? So we are conducting our food monitoring studies from 2011 on every few years. Every year our collection gets a little bit bigger. So we started quite small without this CLAS system, which I'll tell you a little bit later. But yeah, we started quite small, taking, we were first we were in the stores, collecting everything on hand, writing directly in the paper. But then later we developed a system, this CLAS system, where everything is much more automized, but still a lot of work needs to be done by hand, sadly. So yeah, now in 2020 we had the last collection in 6 different stores, which I think covers around 95% of all our market. We collected all food categories. So that means we took the picture of every side of the of 28,000 unique products. So how is it all working? So like I said, this is our main system, CLAS system, where we get the majority of all data comes from supermarkets in the food collections, like I showed you a slide before. Then of course, we use web scraping. We only used it once, but we are now writing a code to make it on a regular basis. And we use crowdsourcing via the mobile application, which is also connected to our CLAS system. So we have all of this data feeding in our CLAS system, and they're all quite connected. Of course, this is our main database, and these two are the databases which are feeding in the main one. So what are the main things that we are interested in? So what are we collecting from the databases? Of course, the EAN code, the photographs, like I said, and then we are collecting the product name, company, ingredients, use of additives, vitamins and minerals, nutritional values, packaging value, price, information on health and nutrition claims, and data on symbols and children target marketing. So yeah, it is quite a lot of data that we are collecting, and this transcription from the pictures to this database, it takes quite a long time. But I think at the end it's quite worth it because we have a really good picture what is going on in our food markets. So with this, we would like to, with these kind of projects, we are also collaborating with researchers, and now also with some countries around the planet, and now also with Ireland. So I would like to show you a few case studies on monitoring reformulation. So first, I would like to, so what can be done with this data? Of course, there are many more uses than just this. But first, we made a study because we were interested in how the salt content is changing during the years. So like I said, these are the data from 2011 on. And we can really see here, but this is not a statistically significant data. Here is presented average sodium content per group, per food group. So we can see here kind of trends, and but also I must note here that really the number of food in food category in each year was really growing. So this data, so we should be careful interpreting this data. So we can see here that actually from 2011, the salt content fell in biscuits, breakfast cereals, pizzas, and spreads. But it went up in canned vegetables. But if we weight this data for canned vegetables with sales data, we can actually see it really didn't go up that much. So yeah, further on we have now these are statistically significant, statistically checked data with one-tailed t-test, and here is the content of sodium in specific food group. So we can see here that actually, so the lighter one is actually 2017, and this is 2020. So it actually the salt content or the sodium content really fell in biscuits, in cereal breakfasts, in soups, in canned vegetables, and then it crisps in snacks, pasta sauces, spreads, and vegetable spreads. So we can really see there are significant differences with this kind of data. We can really see what is going on our market. So we can really see, is there some reformulation going on, and what kind are the products during the years. So next case study is the use of food additives, titanium dioxide. So in May 2021, a scientific opinion was published that titanium dioxide can no longer be considered as a safe food additive. So we checked our 2017 and 2020 data, and you can see here where are the major categories which the titanium dioxide was present in, which categories. So it's mainly chocolates and sweets and chewing gums. But actually we saw that even before this scientific opinion was published, the titanium dioxide was less present in 2020 than 2017. So what can we see here is there were 88 products in both with same EAN code in 2017 and 2020. And we saw that actually from those 88, only 49 products were still containing titanium dioxide in 2020. What I would like also to point out here is that, so this was the IFSA opinion was published in May, and in few months we could already make analysis and publish this paper or short paper. And I think this is a really nice example of quick response of what you can do with this data. So here it just to see the comparison in short. So in 2017 there were 215 products, and 2020 only 122, and the difference was statistically significant. So also we made another cross-country comparison. We compared the data between 4 countries. I must say here that these all kind of different, so what can be also done with these databases, but these databases across the countries are not they don't have all the same methodology of collecting the data, so there might be some kind of differences. But yeah, what we discovered, so we compared the soft drinks, the yogurt products, and we can really see here what kind of differences are between the European countries. Again, then we also compared what are the nutrient profiling and the composition of foods. We use the Nutri-Score. The Nutri-Score, as you can see here, as you can see here, I will not explain this in detail because we are, I think, quite at the end. So yeah, there with this kind of approach, we are really able to see what kind are the differences in between countries, what are the differences in between products, in between categories. So I think this is kind of a nice approach, and maybe here for the end, I would like to show you what. So we have quite a lot of papers published in this area of food monitoring, because there are quite a lot of different ways of approaching and looking at this data. So if there are a lot of questions can be answered with this kind of data. So in the sense of composition, in the sense of specific ingredients or food additives, or different nutrient profiling approaches. Again, what are the different, so we can check what are the different food marketing techniques on food labels, or how, or like some different branded, analysis of secondary samples in dietary surveys, and then so on. So I think it's quite, this kind of approach with this CLAS database and the connecting software, it really helps us, so we can really integrate it into many aspects of our work. So yeah, we are quite happy with this, and I think we are quite, yeah, it's quite useful, this I'm trying to say. So yeah, this is all from my side, so I will be happy for any questions.
Okay, great. Listen, thank you very much, Masa. That was lovely and a really whistle-stop tour of all of the work that you do. And I think showing all of those papers at the end really demonstrates how useful the data is, and really how it can answer things. So we're going to open for questions if anybody would like to ask anything. I don't see anything in the chat yet, but put up your hand and turn things on. But could I just start just opening it up in terms of the more novel methods, the web scraping that you're talking about? Does that contain all of the data that is required, or is there huge variation in what is available from the different types of data sources and collection? Do they have all of the claims and the packaging, etc.? Is all of that information on the web scraping?
Yeah, so we only made one web scraping consensus monitoring, but so there are not all the data. There are data on mostly on ingredients, on packaging, and then nutritional labeling. But otherwise, there is no other. So they're just like these basic labeling information, but not all that we are usually collecting. So okay. I think it can be used as a supplement for the usual ways of monitoring.
But it would mean that if it is used in complementary, like alongside the existing methods, that you probably have less data collection in, say, the supermarkets or through other sources, because you have already obtained that data from another side. So it's using multiple ways with the same product. Is that the approach you're taking?
Yeah, we are trying to, but I think like we are still trying to separate these two databases and do not mix not mix them, because we are still now not at a point where we could say, okay, this is just the same as web scraping as this, but like we are now trying even to figure out what is going on there and how we can really incorporate it into our system, and is that like what is the quality of this data. And it's not I think the majority of people are still buying food in food stores. There is many more food products than in online stores.
Yeah.
So I think it's still best for us to do the food monitoring, but like we will see what happens next.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Is there any questions from anybody online that want to either turn on their microphones or type anything in the chat room there? Give everybody a couple of seconds. Okay. So Mary Rose, do you want to?
Hi, Eileen, how are you?
Yeah.
I'm a bit croaky. Yeah, just to say, fantastic work. Is really extensive data collection. We've been doing something similar, but not quite as extensive. And we have gathered a lot of data on products that are typically fortified. So we have captured labels, photographic evidence of labels, and then extracted the labels and into an Excel spreadsheet over 4 time points. And I think it was your own work that initially informed that piece, Eileen, in 2004. So there might be interest in talking to you guys about the data we have and maybe how we could share it and make use of it, because it's an awful lot of information. We've been using it to look at folic acid and reformulation efforts, but maybe there are other things that we could all be doing with it as well.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes, thank you. Yeah, and actually, what I was maybe not like, I'm not sure if I kind of said this enough. So like this CLAS system, what is the point of it? It's actually, it really isn't like the data collection, because there is no Excel, and like the whole point of it is like, it's really, the error is a bit, it's quite smaller, and it's really easy to use it. And so like it takes off a lot of the legwork, and not a lot of like, it kind of facilitates the data collection, the data extraction and the data collection. So there is no, like folders of your pictures and where is it going and where it should be going. It's just one software system, just one Outlook, and then you click on it and then you can collect all kinds of data. So it's really useful.
And could the data we have be retrospectively entered into that system, or would that be a whole?
I think, yeah.
It could.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So we can chat, Mary Rose, and see if that data would be useful. That would be great.
Yeah.
Is there anything else from anyone else? Geraldine, hi, how are you?
Hi everyone. Hi Eileen. Hi Masha. Lovely to see you again. Thank you so much. I was in class, so I wasn't here for all of your fantastic presentation, but just to say a huge thank you, and also to say that I'd love to connect offline on the work and some of the data that you presented there on sugary drinks, because it's something that we've been looking at here. So it would be great to connect and find a way maybe to collaborate on some of the work that you've been doing. And seeing how Ireland stands up to that as well. So, so if that's okay.
Right. Thank you. Right.
Thanks a million.
Sure. Thank you, Eileen.
Okay. I have one question. Can I ask the difference between the countries that you did across that? I know you underplayed the amount of work that was required to align all of those, and I know it was a very difficult thing. So there's kind of 2 questions. How important will it be to have an alignment, do you think, so that we can compare across country? And then also you saw differences within those countries, and is that due to particular reformulation strategies within the countries and policies, or is it due to something else? What's driving that difference? And how important is it that we make sure that we do have that alignment in data collection, to make sure that if we see a difference, we know it's not data collection, it's due to policy or reformulation or something. So can you just comment on that? Yeah. Yes,
exactly. It's just that. So with this, like, we can say there are differences, but like we have until like we have no idea, because the collection was different and the system is different. So we really don't know what is the underlying cause of this difference. So but like with this kind of synchronized data collection. We could really say, this was like the market in Ireland is really different, or like what they're offering in Ireland is really different to what is offered in Slovenia. Because now we can just say, we see the difference, but we are really not sure, you know, what was the cause of it. So maybe it's because it was collected in online stores, or, you know, people were entering it. And really it was a lot of, you know, especially where data was collected with this open food facts data. So like data was really like the databases from other countries were really varying in qualities, and it was quite difficult to kind of harmonize them. But of course, it's not harmonized fully. It's harmonized up to some point that we could like afford to do it.
Because that, I mean, that would be really useful data, because then we can compare, you know, which strategies for reformulation were either the most effective, or, you know, and then if you can bring back, you know, the market share sort of into that, it's, you were lucky enough to be able to then see, does that impact, you know, on, you know, sales and things like that. So, you know, joining those dots together would be great. And I know it's something you've been working on with a project that we're working on together, but I think it's a big challenge for us across Europe to agree a method and to then be able to have those data sets talk to each other, you know, in the future. Yeah.
And I really think this is amazing, like working this FNS cloud. For me, it's like really amazing, because you can really, you know, at least for me, it's the start of like connecting all the, you know, really feeling like we need to connect all the data and connect what we are doing, because then we can have higher level of data. So yeah.
Great. Any other questions? Anybody else there in the audience before we let Masha go? If not, I just want to say thank you very much, Masha. We really enjoyed talking, and I think you've generated a huge amount of interest. And if anybody wants, I think Masha's details were in the email that was sent around, but if anybody wants her email address or anything, just drop me an email myself and I'll be able to share that with you to connect everybody. And everybody, you know, I think this is the way to go. So watch this space, and hopefully you'll see a lot more of this type of data collection here in Ireland. So thank you very much, Masha. Really enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye now. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.